All right, so as we look forward to what's going on this week, okay, Thursday, you have a brief evaluation, okay? So keep that in mind, and we'll have some of them short answer papers to hand out then on Wednesday. And I would think that on this paper, it's probably going to say something about contrasting the reptiles to the amphibians. What correlations have we talked about between the reptiles and amphibians? What about skin? That is important. Okay, so the texture of it. So you got to pick smooth or rough. Reptiles have much rougher, coarse skin. That is correct. And so then if that's one extreme, you go to the other, amphibians must have smooth skin. Would you agree with that? Yes, that's correct. And being moist is a key component as well. Why is that? You're right. Yeah, because if they dry out, their air supply is not supplemented like it would be if it remained moist. Okay? So those are some external differences. What else might you see? So as we continue with this information that's not important, I guess, so I didn't know that either, I guess. It's important we don't waste people's time here, right? Time is of the essence because you seniors are in the 40s for days left. How exciting, correct? Okay. Well, I mean, both. I mean, I would hope that it's exciting. We're not trying to patronize you saying, oh my gosh, in themselves. When I make references to the snakes, I can never remember. I want to make sure I explain this correctly, if that's possible. At least I hope so. Yes, I thought this was correct. For some reason, okay, this is just the opposite of, let's say, a link between the fish and the amphibians. The reason we say that is when animals started to develop limbs, they would crawl out of the water, then onto land. Okay, that's modern amphibians. But for some reason, these animals went the opposite direction. You had your we're talking about the order Sauria. Yes, those are your lizards. Then when we talk about the serpents, then yes, we're referring to the snakes. But these animals had evolved losing limbs. I really don't have a good explanation for that. So what we're talking about is you would have lizards crawling around along the ground that for some reason nature selected then what would make sense to me is if you're living in a hot environment like some snakes do, that it would be easier on your feet to not have them, but then you're slithering across the ground though too. So that would be a problem. So I really don't have a good explanation for that. Okay? But one of the things that I do think is important, so this is what we mean. They're losing their limbs, their pectoral and pelvic girdles. So which one would be your chest? Yeah, your pectoral region up here, then down the hind legs then would be your pelvic girdles. So these animals lost those limbs and nature selected them to do so. The vertebrae, so we know undulations is one of your vocab terms. And what does that mean? Undulate. Yes, side to side movements, okay? So as these animals move from side to side, they're undulating. And in order to do that, it's not such a structural advantage for these ribs to be shorter, but why would it be an advantage for them to be wider? Movement, okay? So muscles have to have a place to attach in order to create these levers, okay? And what would be a reason for these structures to be pointing back? It's called a spinous process in any type of mammal, bird, what have you. Yeah, muscles will attach to this. So even in this case, when you're exhaling, okay, these intercostal muscles that attach to the ribs will actually help compress your lungs to force the air out. So what would be an advantage of having these ribs being wider? What are you increasing? Has nothing to do with intake. It has something to do with a greater surface area for attachment of what? Do you think? Attachment of muscles. That's right. So these vertebrae are wider, mainly the bodies back here, and then also the actual ribs, there's more of a surface area for those muscles to attach them. That's right. So then what happens, it actually produces these quick lateral undulations or moving side to side. That's how these animals actually move. So it's actually a side to side movement, but also a pulling of moving forward then as well. One way that makes sense to me, provides more resistance to lateral stress. Even though we're talking about temperatures here when it comes to motor oil, in the summertime, would you rather have 5 weight oil or 50 weight oil, do you think? Okay, we want 50 weight oil. Why would that be? It is? Okay. So then if just the opposite is true, in these winter months, you'd want to put 5 weight oil instead of 50, okay? Because the viscosity, or it's not that it has a lateral stress to it, but the more thick that this oil is in the summertime, the better protection it's going to give for your engine and your motor. Just the opposite is true. In the wintertime, the lighter weight oil you put in there, the better protection is going to be for your engine. So when we're talking about this resistance lateral cess, it just makes it easier to push off of. Allows the animals to actually move quite efficiently. But this undulations leading to losing limbs, I guess maybe what would make sense to you? These animals were quicker without legs. So if they're quicker without legs, we know that being faster is going to be an advantage for what two reasons might pop in your mind that being fast is going to be an advantage? Say that again. So if you're faster than other people, you're not going to get preyed upon. But if you're also faster, well, then you're also going to be able to catch certain types of prey. When it comes to the majority of snakes that we, let's say, think of, maybe garter snake isn't the type of that pops in your mind first, or corn snake, or milk snake, or even the bigger ones. Usually what comes to mind when we said, okay, we're going to start talking about specific types of snakes today. What might be the first type that would pop in your mind? And I would say that's probably a fairly common answer. But whether you're talking about rattlesnake or cobra or a crate snake, which can be aquatic, I believe, all three of those have something in common. The sea kraits, the rattlesnake, and the cobras. What might they have in common? They all produce venom. But their delivery system is going to be different. What they're going to have an effect on their prey items is going to be different. But I think that's just kind of how we think. We hear or see the term snake, and we picture the venomous types. Okay? Not all of them are dangerous until you get up to perhaps some of the larger ones, your pythons and your boas, of course. Those are non-venomous, but yet quite dangerous as well. Okay, so not only did nature select these animals to lose their limbs, but some of them can be quite toxic as well. So it's a better way to learn these by what we're going to be looking at here shortly. So keep in mind, Thursday we'll have a vocab quiz and we'll move on from there. So we'll catch up to you next time.